Hey everyone, today I'm going to take a look at some ads from different platforms and different companies across 5 different verticals. As an agency owner, I spend a lot of time reviewing potential clients and looking to see if they're maybe a good fit for our digital advertising services. We primarily run ads on Meta, TikTok, Google platforms for clients to get them more money and clients coming into their business. So, in doing that vetting process, we often have research that doesn't really get used. Either we reach out and it's not a good time, or the client doesn't respond. But we have folders and folders full of analysis of these different companies. And so today I just want to go through some of them and talk a little bit about what they're doing well, where they might be able to improve, and if you are also running ads for your business, it's an opportunity to see what other people are doing, as well as give you some ideas on how you can do this research yourself or take the lessons from what they're doing and where they could improve or what they're doing well and apply it to your own business. So we have a diverse kind of set of companies here today, and we're just going to go through them. It's pretty informal, most likely edging on the radical candor side of things. So I'm going to try and stay as insightful as possible, but if I stutter, it's because most of these I'm reviewing just off the top of my head for the second time. So I've got 5 companies that we pulled out today. Like I mentioned, they're from different types of business, but I think there's lessons in each of them that we can learn from to have a more effective media strategy in 2026. So let me just take a look at my list here. Who should we do first? I think first we'll start with this one. Find it. They're called Goose Insurance, and they are Canada's best insurance app, which I had not heard of until I found them via one of their investment partners. And in looking at it, thought they could be an interesting candidate for some improvements. So, at a glance, if this is the page we're driving traffic to, I think it does provide a nice, clear idea of what it is. If you're on a desktop, you can quickly scan the QR code, which is nice. With mobile first applications or tools, coming to this website on a desktop or a laptop is a bit of a dead end. So having the nice call out here saying get the app reminds you what it is. I can just quickly pull out my phone, scan, do the install. So love that from a landing experience standpoint, specifically on desktop. We can take a look at it in a mobile format, and you'll see the QR code is gone and it just has the button that'll take us. Now, I'm not sure if I click this, if it goes directly. Yeah, so it tries to detect, I'm assuming, where we're going to go, or it just assumes everyone has an iPhone, which I think less and less is the way to do it. The overlay of the chat is, I don't know, a choice. I'm assuming they would test whether that's beneficial or not. And then the rest of the page covers fairly clearly what it is. So, Canada's best insurance app. If you think of it as reading the headlines, can I scan down this and know exactly what I'm getting into? Canada's best insurance app. Okay, that's great. What policyholders say? Oh, in my mind, a policyholder is a politician or someone involved in politics. Obviously, in this case, it is insurance, and they're using internal language externally. But sure, fine, great ratings. That's nice. I feel the Facebook rating is maybe a little dated in terms of people actually caring about it, but it's a positive number, so that's great. Affordability being the main touch of the brand, so I think that's a nice touch. And then it's all on the app. Cool. I feel like that could be a little bit stronger. But then we get into some of the details. Whole life insurance, Visitors to Canada. So travel insurance, it's a little muddled there. Term life insurance. Let's take a look at what this looks like on the big. So close that. All right, so it's all on the app. So this is their new cell, which equally a little bit weak visually. I don't know how you would visualize whole life insurance, but I guess like a flower pot is one way to do it. Visitors to Canada is just a weak. Obviously, it's travel insurance. If you're coming to Canada, it's a little weak to me. Um, Travel insurance. What's the difference between these two? How's whole life insurance different than term life insurance? Unless I'm an informed buyer, I might not necessarily know what these things are, but if I came here looking for those terms, there they are. So then they do a quick little FAQ. How long has it been around? Who underwrites the Goose insurance policies? That is not a question a layperson would probably ever ask. Again, kind of inside baseball. They're talking to a fairly informed customer there. How do I make a claim? That's something that I would definitely want to know. Do I really need insurance? That probably could have been the first one because the answer is yes. Too many things go wrong in the world. You could easily need insurance from dying or when you're traveling. I believe their travel insurance also covers trip cancellation. So that would make sense. So that's the page, that's the company. Let's take a look at some of the ads that they're running here. So we'll kick over to Google. We're just using the Ads Transparency Center. I realize there's advanced tools for this. I'm assuming you don't want to pay for those advanced tools. So we're just going to go with what's visible in the free tools provided by the ad platforms. So you can see they are running Google Ads and we can click see all ads and it will load them here. And we'll take a look at how they're kind of positioning themselves outside of their website. So let's see, we got travel insurance in 60 seconds. Cool. Worried about flight cancellations and delays. That's nice. Lead with a pain point, followed by the who it's from. I think the image is a little weak as I see a lot of space in the line. I think you could have shown airport frustration a little bit stronger there, but that is nice. Travel insurance in 60 seconds. That sounds wonderful as long as they can deliver on that. If I get 7-8 minutes in, I might be an annoyed customer before I've even got there. Also kind of funny. Since it gives you the actual name of the company, it tells you not to use it in that area. But overall, as a remarketing ad, this is interesting. Or if I saw this on a travel site, maybe if I would be hoping that Google would add some sort of call to action on that. But, I'd say 6 out of 10 in terms of scoring on that one. And then we'll just go back here. What else do we got? So we got a video ad for the Play Store. Let's see what they are saying.
Goose, travel insurance in 60 seconds. Like most Canadians, I love to travel, but hate the details of organizing a trip. Flights, hotels, luggage, and I always forget travel insurance.
Am I supposed to know who this is?
A new app that lets you buy travel insurance in 60 seconds.
Okay, so, from a hooking standpoint, I'm not pulled right in immediately. You can see this hasn't been shown since last September, so I would assume it is no longer in action. Not real strong. I would assume it would be skipped before you really got to the hook. They did open with it, but her lack of enthusiasm would be matched by my lack of enthusiasm. Insurance isn't something anybody really wants, and so putting an interesting or exciting spin on it is probably going to be a little bit tough. What else do we got here? The easiest way to buy insurance. Smart Bunny. So I guess they have a sister company or brother company called Smart Bunny, which they're running from the same account. And these are the types of things when reaching out that we put into the outreach. With Goose Insurance, your vacation ready. Yeah, like maybe that's eye catching. He does look like a average Joe. Again, as a remarketing ad, I think that would stand okay. As a convince me to get it, I'm a little bit weak because a lot of people are travel ready without vacation insurance. And so it's not really pushing me to consider it. It's just, again, if it was following me around, I might click back and finish what I started. Um, but not particularly strong. Visually, if I change this headline to say, with such and such credit union, you can follow your dreams, you wouldn't necessarily know that it wasn't for something else. And I think that lack of individuality is possibly a misstep. Like, you have the goose, if you were to look at MailChimp as an example, super strong branding. They always have the monkey, it's super stylized. It's them, whether it is directly called out or you just see the image. This feels a little weak to me. Embrace moments, not health anxieties. Okay, let's watch it. Oh, it's not going to play. Protect your trip in 60 seconds. You see, that's a good line. Um, Worldwide coverage. Yeah, like the byline here to me is more interesting than what it's saying here. Because it's really only speaking to anxious people. And I don't know if that's a big enough segment. Maybe they have some internal data on who these customers tend to be, and that speaks to them. But my guess is that one is not performing super strong. No medical exam life insurance. That would be a real nice touch for older people. And I think you could probably take that and target it by age demo with more specific messaging. But I don't really see anything of that happening here. Get covered by Goose Insurance, mobile app reviews. That is probably programmatically happening and not particularly strong. Let's take a look at this last one here. So you see they're using the smart tokens to just fill it programmatically. So it would probably say 4.5 stars. Their opening hours, how far they are away from me. So this is more of a local ad. The images getting pulled in, and this happens a lot with the programmatically created displays where this is getting cut off. This could be pretty much anything, and that kind of looks like a parking lot out of the corner of my eye. So you'd need to know, or you need to be careful about what you're allowing your ads to pull in via the feeds or via the assets you have in your account, or you kind of get these mishmash, low performing placement types. But overall, they're doing the stuff. I don't see any call outs on the search ads. So there's probably a lot of opportunity in the account to make these ads a little bit more optimized to take full advantage of the features that Google offers. But visually, it matches the landing page. So if I were to come from this and land here, I don't feel lost. It's okay, it's serviceable. It would give us some data. I would be shocked if it was absolutely killing it for them, but it's okay. So let's take a look at what they're doing over on Meta here. Now, Meta, I assume, is where more of the action happens. Like, I said these are directed towards actual searches. I'm going to assume these are just following me around on travel sites. And then this is where I'm spending a lot of my time on Instagram, travel bloggers, and just kind of seeing what's out there. And it looks as though we're targeting women primarily just by looking at the talent in these UGC styles. We have a couple men. That does kind of clock. I know my wife is a lot more concerned about travel insurance than I am, though in my older age, I'm getting a little bit more concerned about it. The text of the ads. Okay, quote, covered, go. See, originally when I read that, I thought it was like a misstep of like the quote translation got turned literal. So, you know, questionable, but let's watch the ad here and see what she's saying.
Why are people still overpaying for travel insurance?
I don't know.
I switched to Goose because it's fast, digital, and starts at just $4.
That's cool.
The app is honestly so easy to use. I once had a huge flight delay, but their free coverage for delays of 4 hours or more totally saved my wallet. Plus, you get $10 million in medical protection. It's just the smarter way to go. Why are people still overpaying for travel insurance?
I get that insurance isn't super exciting, but I don't know. I believe that wasn't just a script handed to her. Why are people still overpaying for travel insurance? That is a good question to people who do pay for travel insurance, but there's possibly an opportunity to rework this for people who don't or haven't considered it. When it's only $4, all of a sudden it becomes a lot more of a thing. So there's probably an opportunity to rework this for the price conscious customer.
Why are people still overpaying for travel insurance? I switched to Goose because it's fast, digital, and starts at just $4. The app is honestly so easy to use. I once had a huge flight delay, but their free coverage for delays of 4.
By modern, or more recently, with storytelling being kind of the backbone of a lot of the UGC stuff we're seeing perform well, I feel like the story of missing the flight may be a more interesting place to start with this particular creative. Like, I missed my flight, I thought I was hooped, Goose was there for me. Then you get into it's only $4, da da da. So, that might be a stronger pull as opposed to, assuming everyone already does pay for insurance, but not bad. The text is long. But it's okay. Let's see what else we got. Protect loved ones visiting from
When
abroad.
my parents visited me in Canada, I was worried about the cost of their insurance. But then I found Goose. I was able to get them up to $1 million in coverage, and it was up to 50% cheaper than other quotes. It was a huge relief for my budget, and they got all the protection they needed. The best part? It's Super Visa approved, and it even covers pre-existing conditions. It's the smartest and simplest way to make sure your family is protected. When my parents visited me in Canada,
I am trying to figure out if this is a real person, which is where we're at with advertising. I'm 50-50. Might be AI. In terms of the hook,
When my parents visited me in Canada, I was worried about the cost of their insurance. But then I found Goose.
the angle is correct. If my parents were coming from abroad to visit me, I know recently there was just the story of the gentleman whose mom came and ended up with $100,000 in medical bills. So I think that is a real concern, especially given how a lot of our population in Canada is from all over the world. But I think you could probably lean into that a bit harder. And then, as I said, 50-50 as if this is a real person or not. And it's fine if it isn't, but it does seem a little disingenuous. I personally am of the mind that AI creative is good for testing ideas, but you need to be careful it doesn't discredit you. Again, I can't tell fully if this is AI, so I know, 6 out of 10. Uh, this is smart, targeting in the language of the segment of people that would be buying the insurance for their parents. Let's see here. Using the same copy for all of these, I'm going to assume they've tested it or they just haven't really put the time in. Since these are our vertical videos, there's probably a good chance that they will not see the text because it'll be on Instagram and just plain text happening. So let's watch. Let's watch this guy one, and then we'll look at a couple of statics, and then we'll move on. So we got
If
this
your
guy.
family is visiting Canada, you need to hear this. I saved 50% on my parents' insurance using the Goose app. In just 5 minutes, I got them $1 million in coverage that's Super Visa approved and even covers pre-existing conditions. Why spend more when you don't have to? Check out Goose and protect your family for less. If your family is visiting Canada, you need to hear this. I saved 50% on my parents' insurance using the Goose app. In just 5 minutes, I got them $1 million in coverage that's Super Visa approved.
So I like the hook. I am once again questioning if it's a real person, and that comes primarily off of the vocal inflection. I spend a lot of time with AI systems, so if that's what this guy actually sounds like, cool. 50-50 on if it's real, which cost effective, but for these podcast style ads, it's not that expensive to just get someone to do it if they are in fact using AI. But this podcast style has been very effective for our clients, and they don't necessarily need to be on a podcast. Just seeing the microphone, the way the lighting is in the backdrop here, and just making it look very creator, very podcast, has brought a level of authenticity to even some of our more staunchy clients. So visually, this is great. Hook wise, this is great. Energy level, a little bit low. But if it is just all done from an inference model, that's the world we're living in, and that's pretty cool. I would say stronger hook than the previous ones. And if I was in the market, maybe I'd consider. It could also be that it's a dude. So and I'm a dude. But let's watch one more and just see. It is not in a language I understand. So let's check out
As
this
someone
one.
always on the go, I need everything digital and fast for my travel insurance. Goose provided instant coverage on their app starting at just $4. Beyond the convenience, the protection is unmatched. They offer up to $10 million in medical coverage and include free coverage for flight delays of 4 hours or more. How can you beat that? As someone always on the go, I need everything digital and fast for my travel insurance. Goose provided instant coverage on their app starting
You
at
know,
just $4.
Close. I don't know that on the go is the language I would use there, because on the go to me sounds like I'm eating lunch and taking calls, not I'm flying to New York and I need insurance. But the general gist of it is strong. Let's see. The other thing that kind of sits weird with me about this one is the way she looks down to read the script kind of hurts the genuineness a little. So if you watch,
As someone always on the go, I need everything digital and fast for my travel insurance. Goose
See right
provided
there?
instant
She's,
coverage
like, looking
on their app
down.
starting at just $4. Beyond the convenience, the protection is unmatched. They offer up to $10 million in medical coverage and include free coverage for flight delays of 4 hours or more. How can you beat that? As someone always on the go, I need everything digital and fast for my travel insurance.
again,
Goose provided instant
not bad. I like the honk when they bring the logo in. And again, I would love to see them lean more into the kind of goofy name. I think it'd be more memorable. But in terms of communicating the general message in a safe way that I'm sure the brand stakeholders can live with, it's okay. This one's been running for almost 2 months now. So there must be something there. What is the longest running ad? These are all fairly recently launched. So if you are looking to assess your own ads, looking at how long ads are running is super helpful. You can also sort by most recent. Right now it's impressions high to low. So these are the ads that have been seen the most. And then they also have a couple statics here, which I'm a big proponent of statics. Everyone loves short form video, but static ads are often more effective. And so this one, we're doing like a straight up comparison table. I'll move it over so you can actually see, which is nice. So visitors to Canada and Super Visa insurance. I will assume if you're in the market for this, you know what Super Visa insurance is. I don't, but if this was my client, I probably would have learned it. The no deductible. So I like the check marks at the top. The 50% cheaper is nice. It's a little Canva looking in terms of the stamp, but I don't think the average customer is going to care. The comparison table here is interesting. They're running it against Pacific Blue Cross. And I think the ones where there's no coverage, you could probably use something a little more visual, like a big red X or something, so that I'm getting the impression like, oh, they don't have this, they don't have that. Or using the colors in here to kind of highlight like how much lower this number is. I almost feel like the adherence to brand color is hurting the potential performance of this creative, because my eye is not necessarily going to take the time to process. Like there is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 4, so 20 data points in the bottom here, plus a little subtext, and this is the main line that you want me to see. And the color that we're using, I do not associate with winning. I associate that with like negative balance, because it's a pink leaning into red. So I think if I were to take this creative and really try to go further with it, I would say make the savings line a lot more clear. Also, the ages are a little bit tight, where you could just go age 50, 60, 70, 80. So I'm more clearly seeing that. Repetition there is wasting space and adding cognitive load. And then I would say just possibly cut the number here and make it so that each one is more independent. So like run a similar creative, but just do us versus two, us versus these two, us versus these ones. You got more space to put that decision across. You're reducing the cognitive load of the amount of data, which there are customers that love to see all the data points. And so this is speaking to a very specific kind of decision maker. But when you go, this is all of the text, plus I'm expected to load through all of this, and I just watched a cat on a treadmill, it's a pretty big cognitive jump. But again, look at the numbers. If the numbers say it works, it works. And so yeah, that's what we've got going on here. Let's see, do they have any TikTok running? I'm just gonna load that again. Does not look as though they do. And I don't see anything on LinkedIn, which I feel might be a missed opportunity. No one wants to pay for insurance. LinkedIn customers tend to be traveling more. So there might be like a business insurance angle there, or if you're targeting lower cost people, saying junior travel people or startups. Yeah, lots of room to improve. So they've got the business rating, which was not used across any of those ads, which I think speaks more to an older client. I did not see any star ratings, so they weren't really using this. We have all of these great testimonials I did not see in any of the advertising. So I think there is a lot of opportunities here, even just to take, yeah, trusted by 200,000 people. I did not see that in any of the text. So if I were to take this on, I would start by just looking at the information presented on this homepage and making sure that it's properly surfaced inside of the app. And they were all very focused on the travel insurance business. I feel like for people in the younger generation, there is probably a whole life insurance opportunity or a term life insurance opportunity, which they're not even really leaning into. So that would most likely be an education plus sales type position that they would take for that product line. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Goose Insurance. If you need cheap insurance, there's a potential option for you. All right. So where do we at here? Full half an hour. Bill is in the mail for that one. All right. Like, who else do we got here? Next up, let's take a look at this one. They're called Easel. We came across them while looking into entertainment-focused companies. My background is in music, and I worked at a music startup for a while. I used to run a record label, so I'm always intrigued at the opportunity to work alongside clients in the entertainment space. And so Easel had come across my desk, and what they are selling is a platform for people who sell experiences. So that could be concert goers, that could be people with experience-based businesses like axe throwing or some of these other kind of vibey businesses that are out there. And as it says here, they do the website, they handle bookings, it's integrated POS, marketing, and the data operations. So I think traditionally these businesses were very fragmented, and the goal of their platform is to bring that all under one space, and then of course use AI because it's the secret sauce we got to put on everything these days. And so they've got a great logo bar here. AEG, huge. Live Nation, huge. Coachella, maybe you've heard of it if you've ever been in America. So I think from a credibility standpoint, that's great. Experience commerce, kind of trying to own a category they're inventing, very interesting. AI-powered agents is a bit of a soft sell to me, because like, what are those agents doing? That feels a little like the investors wanted to see it on the homepage, but you know, maybe that's something that is speaking to their demo. Your all-in-one platform, I like it. I think it could go a bit further and say your all-in-one platform for running events or something to speak a little bit more to what it actually does. And then the best-in-class platform for your experience business. Okay, so right there is for your experience business. I'd put that in the headline. Best in class, very corporate, but you're most likely selling to a decision maker. That totally makes fine. Increase in 30% conversions. I hope to see that in the advertising because that is the type of thing that any business owner is going to want to see. And then we have some call outs here. Oh, it moves up. Well, that's a little weird. That feels counterintuitive, but that's possibly just a UX preference. What's it look like on a phone? So here. Okay, so on phones it goes above, and in real life it goes under. So I call that a mobile first design. That totally makes sense. Data and operations, it's just going to sell me on 200% ROI. I feel like these main benefits are getting a little bit lost, but that's just me being nitpicky. Scale faster and drive revenue with agentic AI, says every agentic AI platform ever. Meet your AI digital workforce. Your AI, is it AI? That's just me being a copy jerk. AI collaborator, supercharging your team. Okay. So then I'm not going to get into that. Like, this isn't a website review. This is an ad review. But okay, so these are our primary. So music makes sense. Entertainment. So pool hall, great example. VR gaming, karaoke. Yeah, so lots of great verticals that they can use this platform in. That is super interesting. And then adventure businesses. So there's a whole tourism, travel, wellness retreats. So there is tons of great categories that this platform could be applied to. So let's take a look and see if that is reflected in the advertising. So we got the Google Transparency Center back up here. We'll go see all and just take a look. So more ticket sales, less fees. Still using other platforms. I would be curious what search term would trigger that ad, because that is either a really good directly to my actual pain point or a little bit vague and leave me wondering what you're doing with your dollars. So hard to say. Asking questions is good. You can see they've kind of, I doubt the person running the ads did this. The platform most likely did. The doubling of the question is a little bit tired. But the way that Google tests different iterations these days, you can't always get away from that type of thing. More than other platforms, all-in-one festival platform. It's kind of weak positioning. Sell tickets, VIPs, merch. See, like this, the byline is doing the real work here. And to me, I would want that up in the bold. People are scanning at best in that section. See, unlike the previous one we looked at, they are using some of the callouts to go directly to pricing. A little bit strange choice. That might have been programmatic website themes. Experience commerce. I like that as a term. I wonder if that's a term other people in the space are using. But it does communicate if I was, say, running an outdoor adventure company. Easel, better than others. Prove it would be if I was a skeptical searcher and this came up. You know, it's kind of an unsubstantiated claim. And meanwhile, back over here, we have claims that they can substantiate, I'm assuming, based on their data. So 24% basket spend, 30% conversion, 200% ROI. Substantiate it here in your advertising. Why are you better than others? How much better are you than others? Well, it's this much. We already crunched the numbers. But okay, I like cost cutting. As a business owner, I'm always going to want to be cutting costs. Save time, get in touch, manage your entire business. So again, there seems to be kind of a mix where in my opinion, and maybe they've tested this, but I would want to see these sublines as the headlines, and then these can like manage your entire business with Easel probably fits here. And then you can do get in touch today. I am not going to get in touch for something I don't understand. And so that's why I kind of feel like maybe those are a bit reversed. Boost your revenues. As long as your targeting is tight on that particular one, that's great. Who doesn't want more money? If there was space, I would say boost revenue at your concert. But we're kind of missing the context of that here. So I'll assume that the search query is doing the work. Experience commerce. See sell tours online. This is more what I'm saying. Sell tours online. The new way to sell tours. a little redundant, but again, I don't blame anyone for the way that Google puts these things together. We've got just kind of like the logo, which is not necessarily going to speak to anyone. Doesn't look as though they're running any display remarketing, which could be a good opportunity once I've been on the site to follow me around with this. Like visually, the website has a great style. So it would make sense to me to take 15% of your budget, create ads that remind me that I've been here, follow the great design style that they've got started, and just follow me around with substantiated claims, or even some of this visual language could be very helpful as a remarketing ad on the Google Display platform. But generally, okay, not bad. Again, without knowing the terms for some of these ads, I couldn't say necessarily how much they could improve. But I do see some opportunities to bring some of these claims and some of these features a little bit more front in the search channel. So next up, we'll go over and take a look at the meta ads. Again, do we have it sorted by impressions? We do. And let's just take a look. It doesn't look like we have the actual company here, so we'll just click in. All right, this looks a lot better. And let's see what we got. So these are the currently active. See if there's much history here. So we got some statics that ran last year. This so you can see it. Okay. Kind of makes me think of like hype beast type branding, but it works. I would almost think it'd be easier to take this. I like the new way to sell adventures. That kind of speaks to me. I would probably also run a variant where we took each one of these and made the picture more prominent, because the odds of me selling a kayaking safari or a climbing, hiking adventure are a little bit narrow. And then I'm curious what the symbolism on the bottom would relate to. Kind of makes me think of the Led Zeppelin style, like Zofo or whatever. It's almost too cool for who we're selling to here. And not to say these people aren't cool, but the stylization is maybe a bit much. But that is from last year. So we'll just go with what's actually live again. Active ads only, and let's start there. So we'll make this bigger, and okay, we've got the quote as the text, which is great. Since we moved over to Easel, it's been night and day. It's given our team a whole new lease on life, and we absolutely love it. And swingers, I think that's golf. Let's watch the video. Make it bigger here.
My name is Matt Grech-Smith, and I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Swingers, the Crazy Golf Club. Easel's helped us to unlock a number of new revenue streams just because it's got this incredible built-in...
Okay, so this is a common mistake I see with testimonial style content. So again, we need to keep in mind, where is this piece of video going to live? And it's going to live on my phone while I'm mouth breathing, zoned out, like not necessarily actively searching for this solution. And so if we watch the first, let's just check the time on this.
My name is Matt Greg Smith, and I'm the co-founder and co-CEO of Swingers, the Crazy Golf Club.
Okay, so we're 8 seconds in. Is this for swingers? I guess if I have a strong affinity to this brand, maybe I'm sticking around. But if I'm in the feed, again, kittens on treadmills, this happening in that country. Hi, my name is this guy. Like, whatever, dude. I'm just going to swing right on past it. And so this content would be amazing on the landing page where I'm looking for additional confirmation that real people use this product and they love it. But in the context of an interrupt, I think it is a little bit weak because right after he does his introduction,
Easels helped us to unlock a number of new revenue streams.
okay, holy shit, that's what I'm looking for. So I think if I were to make a edit of this, we would start there. Easel has opened up a bunch of revenue streams.
Just because it's got this incredible built-in functionality on the website and the platform.
So now working with Easel, we kind of have a one-stop shop for everything we need to do in relation to the front-end website.
Managing inventory, not just of our golf space, but inventory of our actual physical space and also the sale of our food and beverage all through one sort of holistic platform.
We want to improve our revenue generating capability, and Easel are with us, helping us to understand guest behavior, what's working.
Yeah, even again, that guy,
the most important project we have going on.
he's bringing the actual sauce there, like
Guest behavior, helping us to understand, and Easel are with us, helping us to understand guest behavior.
yeah, Easel is helping us understand guest behavior. Amazing. I would say you could probably clip that. What am I trying to say? Basically, there's some amazing raw material in there, but the sequencing is not going to stick out in the platform that they've chosen. So at 8 seconds where he says, Easel has opened up revenue streams. Beautiful. That's what we want. The comment about how it handles all parts of the business, that could be useful. Maybe put it in a meme card with a clear call out over top. That's like what to do with my hospitality business or what to do with your hospitality business. So as I'm scrolling, I'm like, oh, hospitality business. And then underneath that, I'm seeing someone in that business saying like, holy crap, this thing is so great. Then I'm like, oh, what is it? And so what I see looking at that one is a beautifully shot piece of content that could probably be resequenced into a super sharp ad. Let's see what else we got here. The ad details, and I'll move it over a little. Easel has completely transformed how we run events. Okay, that's pretty good. Given there's this much text here, I would probably shorten that up and just put a link to the website or something to re-hit the brand. So like easel.com. No one's reading this stuff most of the time. Or take some of that proof that we have back over here. 200% ROI in 6 months. 200% ROI in 6 months. Easel has completely transformed how we run events. I'm interested. Tell me more. So, a bit of a missed opportunity here. A lot of work for me to read that much, especially with this much text on the page. And also, do I really care that he's the co-founder, chief marketing officer? It kind of blurs all of this stuff together. So Bingo Loco is what I want. Craig, CMO, or Craig, co-founder, Bingo Loco. You've just kind of put a little too much on there. But not bad. Using actual quotes. Let it run. See what the numbers tell you. What else do they got? I like this. I'm a big proponent of simple and bold. So let's see here. Obviously, this is a remarketing ad. That's why it's missed your chance to explore Easel. I'm 50-50 on whether or not you need to call out that you're following people around. I think most people understand how that works these days, and many are even creeped out by the fact you're following them around. So it's always worth testing whether or not you can retarget people and have them feel like they're discovering it on their own for the first time. It's kind of like that demand avoidance idea of, if it's your idea, you're going to love doing it. If it's my idea, you're going to fight me. But since switching to Easel, we've grown our trips by over 65%. Okay. I like the call out of the growth. I think this could probably contextualize that quote better for me. So like, run a travel business, take control back, or whatever. Like something to set this up a little better so that if I am seeing it in a feed with the text above or below it, it hits a little harder. And then just out of curiosity, when I click this, where does it go? I guess maybe they're using a quick form, which that's cool. That's a good idea. Gets the signal back to the platform faster and lowers the friction. I do see about a 30% weaker quality of leads when you're using those forms, but it's worth experimenting both to the website and the in-platform forms. And then we have another quote here. Oops. Let's see. Since we moved over to Easel, it's been night and day, really. It's given our team a whole new lease on life, and we absolutely love it. It sounds like they're... That's an okay quote. I think is the shortest thing I'm trying to say. It's like, why has it given them a lease on life is maybe what's missing. If it's, wow, we're making so much more money now that we can see where we're putting our time, or the stats they had about increasing the cart rate. There's a lot of different ways to mix and match that together. It does say there's multiple versions of this ad, so I'm not going to go too hard on the text, as they may be testing various texts, but you know, I think the quote itself is maybe a little hard to digest unless I'm already really deep in the sales process. So let's see here. Okay, so this landing page makes more sense to me. It's just the correct form. I guess this is one of those ads. Yeah, so you got the tight and then just fill in all the stuff. That's good. I would be, if I was looking to run a test on that particular page, I would be adding additional ways to get back. Okay, I'm down here, I'm convinced. How do I get back to the form at the top would be one test that I would look at maybe running. But generally, if I came and it says book a demo, this is the type of place I'm looking to end up. That is quite a few fields to be asking, but maybe. And then also visually it's a little chaotic with interface plus big world building plus food plus text. This text has nothing to do with the form, so it's maybe a little noisy. Another aspect would be maybe testing a simplification of some of these images. But overall, not too bad. TikTok, we got nothing. LinkedIn, which I think is probably a great potential platform for this, as it is really speaking to a more established business owner. And it looks as though they're running the B2B play of insights-based type stuff. So we can download the white paper or whatever, which I like. visually, I think this looks great. It's very stylized. I don't love having to give this much information to get a report that may or may not actually have the value I'm looking for. I'd be curious to know what the conversion rate is on that. Because I'm pretty sure you could handle this inside of LinkedIn and then just pre-fill and save me having to fill out this whole form. So that might be an opportunity for a test there. And then also, I have seen people saying that they get significantly better results by not gating their platform-based content like this anymore, where people just don't have an interest in sharing their information until they know what they got. So you just share the info. If the platform is for them, they're going to take that info and come back to you. The days of the gated white paper, it's debatable as to whether there's value in forcing that data collection or if you're losing more potential customers because of that gate. So another thing to try would be just a download. You could use a first-party data system like Rake or some of the ones that can tell you who came from LinkedIn. So you're gathering all that information through a first-party data system and then following up in a side channel, as opposed to making them identify themselves and fill out a form. Then they download the thing, and if the thing doesn't tell them what they thought it would, now they've had a bad brand interaction and wasted 10 minutes of their time. So I'd be curious to know how that's working. And I think it is a good opportunity to take the tech further and implement a first-party data system that makes it more seamless for me, the person considering the platform, while also still giving you the things you're looking for as the business. What else we got here? So the Swingers one again, which I feel maybe in LinkedIn.
My name is Matt
But
Greg.
again, it's like, okay, I'm in the feed, and the first 2 seconds is just the logos. So unless I already have a big respect for the Swingers Golf Club, I'm not watching this. And so all of that great information packed further into the content doesn't get to provide the value that was anticipated when it was shot. What else do we got? So a more music focused one.
My way.
Okay. By creators for creators. Pretty much every music tool says that. So I don't know that I would lead with it. Again, when you have so much business specific stuff, we could go to the music page here, take a look. Grow your music experience business, that's pretty good. Supercharge your costs. Yeah, even this, ticketing platforms are constricting. You're losing customers. Traditional ticketing platforms wait up to 60 days after the festival to get paid. So they have like a lot of very specific stuff here that could be used in the creative. But from the ones we're looking at so far, I'm not really seeing that. This, to me, reads more like branding than performance, which, okay. But similar to what I was saying about the insurance company, I could say, Shure Microphones is by creators for creators. I could say Electron synthesizers is by creators for creators. So we're not really leading with a differentiator. It might almost serve against you. So welcome to Experience Commerce. That might be more interesting because I would go, what is Experience Commerce? Or do you work in festivals? You work in Experience Commerce. So you're giving me the category you've created or the software category clearly up front. And if I don't know what it is, I'm like, oh, what's that? If I do know what it is, I'm like, oh, that's me. So just in this one creative, I would say that would potentially be a stronger lead to actually get to the right target. Look at one more here. The sell tickets. Let's see.
My way.
That's cool. Running it with no text around it is maybe not the play, but I like Easel is crafted for selling events. I don't know that you need to necessarily assume everyone is a creator. My experience in the music business is there's music people and there's business people, and there is some overlap, but a lot of the time the people looking at, the CRM platform are more on the business side, though they may aspire to believe they're creators. So I'm just an armchair quarterback on this one. And again, it goes to this form. That's great. They can book it. Might also be able to just use a first-party data system. What else do we got here? I think that is it, because yes, we're looking at LinkedIn. So, okay, that's Easel. Very cool platform. I think they raised some cash, so that's exciting. And it is created by actual creators. So if you are in an experience business, maybe that's for you. All right, who else do we got here? Completely different ball game here. We got the Dilawri Auto Group, Canada's largest automotive group. So they own 85 car dealerships, 38 brands, huge footprint of real estate, association with brands across the whole spectrum. As you can see, they have a financing division, service division, all the stuff that goes with cars. I know when I bought a new car a couple of years ago, I was shocked at the state of technology that these dealerships were using. And I'm not going to say anything. Let's take a look and see how they're doing on the digital ads front. What time is it? All right, cool. So we got a little more time here. So buy, sell, service, and explore all in one place. So they are segmenting by vehicle type. That makes a lot of sense. Look at all the logos they got. And this is why I think this is an interesting case when you look at it. Like, you're going all the way from Ferrari to Toyota. So Ford, Hyundai, Bentley. So they basically should have a product to cover the whole range of budgets and a huge footprint of real estate and employees to pull content from. So in theory, you could turn this into an absolute monster from a content standpoint. So let's take a look at what they're running for ads and see what kind of monster we got. So on the search, and we're looking at the main domain here. I'm assuming they're also running ads for all 85 of those dealerships as well. I would be shocked if they weren't running sub-accounts or some sort of breakdown so that they are getting more reach locally, but you never know. So we got a lot of brand specific stuff here. So Mercedes, and I'd be curious to know how this is actually structured. a lot of the time when you're just a vendor for a big brand like this, the brands that get highlighted are tied to incentives, or they are taking money from the brands to then put them at the forefront of specific places. So like higher quality retail placements come with a cost. So for example, I was working on a kid's toy. If we wanted a whole aisle in Target, there was a price and sales quotas built into that. And I'm not sure if that's what's going on here, or if we keep going, are we going to see other things? So we're also running stuff in French. View 4,000 pre-owned vehicles, so that's probably coming up on used car searches. 4,000 feels like a lot. So I think with the brand like this, what you're really pushing is the like, if you come to us, you can shop all of these things. And if you've ever seen one of these retail locations, they often have like multiple dealerships in like a loop you can drive through or something like that. And so they're really pushing on the superstore of cars kind of angle. So we're seeing lots of Mercedes, used cars, French and English, the pre-owned event. So, you know, they're just, which just looks to be programmatically run. Yeah, so they're just running feeds on the cars. There's the car, this is what it is, that's the price. I would assume that there is some sort of data system running those. So if I've looked at an Infiniti, it's following me around, it's labeling my closest location, and it's telling me the price. Yeah, I see RAV4 parts in Bolton. So, you know, from a underlying technical standpoint, what I'm seeing looking at these is just like brand in location, and then you just run large data feeds to make sure, and then let Google decide who sees what based on what you're offering. So, you know, Genuine Acura in Markham. So, like I said, when you have that many dealerships, getting your feeds and everything set up correctly is a big part of getting some success on this. I'm a little surprised to not see more. Yeah, there we go. Like call outs, or the sub. So right into new inventory, right into special offers. It's a bit surprising to not see that on all of them, but seeing them on some says that, you know, it's probably set up properly. You know, calling out the APR financing. So cars, they always have different deals. So there's going to be a lot of updating to make sure that you are representing the current offer that they're using to incentivize people in the door. Right here, speaking specifically to lease prices, and having so many different brands and properties to work from is actually a huge advantage, because you could go Dilawri Group, Land Rover Vancouver, you know, buy secondary like SUV comparison type page. So there's like basically 3 levels of different ads you can follow people around with as you narrow in on what it is that they are looking for in terms of category, brand, price point, and then contact they've had. So yeah, no credit history, no problem. So they're also pushing their financing a little bit. Not exciting, not creative, very utilitarian, but you know, getting the job done. Tons and tons of ads across the account, obviously. But there's, when you think of, they've got 38 brands, 85 dealerships, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 by, yeah, like 40 different, 38 brands. So, and then each brand has, say, 10 cars. So there's like 400 different cars. Each has multiple feature lines. Like there's a lot of permutations here. And I feel like with car buying, aside from maybe comparison, which they are in a unique position to do, given that they have all of these. Let's just see if they do that. So I'm an outdoorsy guy, and then it just dumps me to a big page. So like, and again, highlighting Mercedes first. Wonder if they have a specific deal with Mercedes. Some nice filters here. But you know, one opportunity that I don't see is like, I just need a mom SUV. What are the top 3 mom SUVs? And then in your ads, you can be like top SUVs for moms. You can show multiple brands. Since you control pretty much the whole board, you don't care which one they buy necessarily. Have them narrow it down, push it to their local fastest dealer, forward their information to that dealer, make the sale. So decent. Lots of room to be a little bit more creative with it, but since a car is such a utility in Canada, I'm not sure that there's that much pressure. Plus, you know, they are the larger or one of the larger dealers, so how much competition when you're playing at this size are you really when you're playing at this size, how much competition are you really up against? So again, functional. See, they're running maps ads. Makes sense. Like Honda dealer near me kind of thing. What else we got? Anything on YouTube? Couple statics, just the standard car commercial stuff, which, you know, I think is maybe a bit of a missed opportunity. I can't see it. You have hundreds of service people, sales people, dealership people, and yet I'm not seeing any of them reflected here. Again, that very well could be part of a more localized dealership strategy, but I think if you really look at, you know, Canada's largest automotive group, it's got like kind of a family name. I'm sure they try to push the family Canadian vibe. So to then bring some of your frontline staff forward into your advertising seems like a bit of a missed opportunity since I'm not seeing them here. But I don't always see everything inside of these tools, so maybe not. And then, yeah, like I had said earlier, they have their Google Shopping feed set up, so all of these ads are just being programmatically puked out into the system for Google to decide what to do, which is a great strategy when you have this many locations, products, and the type of variants that they're having. So, cool, set up correctly. Let's take a look at the meta stuff now. So we've got a decent number of ads, 160 ads. What are we talking about? Primarily Mercedes. So if I was to look at this one, is that a Toyota in the bottom? No, it's a Tesla. Mercedes versus Tesla. I don't know why choose the EQS. Where's it go? Ooh, bit of a missed opportunity there. Why choose this? I don't know, dude. I'm not reading any of that crap. Like, I gotta be pretty into it. So my question would be, why didn't we just go straight to the page? What was the EQS? EQS versus Tesla. Oh, it's like a big... That's a total mess. So they have all this information, which is interesting. You know, beyond the hype. How does it look on a phone? Maybe I'm missing the point here. This chat thing is eating up a lot of room. The privacy terms thing is eating up a lot of room. Odds are if I clicked and I ended up on this page, I would just go back because it's just too much like work. I will say I personally found buying a car to be second only to buying a house for worst sales experiences of my life. So I might still be a little bit damaged from going through that. But I would call that a missed opportunity. I click this link, I end up on this page. I don't like, okay, there's fine print, there's numbers, there's a whole bunch of buttons to the acronyms. Like, unless I'm super zoomed in, I'm gone. And this is the article that we're looking for. This should probably just live as an actual page so that it's easier for me to make that comparison. And then, oh, here's the table. This is the real money that I'm looking for. And it's an understated fact. It almost looks like a window sticker. So again, just presentation wise, there's a big opportunity to use just a little bit of design to make it more clear and follow up on what I was promised when I clicked on that ad. I do like the comparison factor. I feel the landing experience has tons of room to improve. And even the text here, like, why settle for less? A big thing that comes up in when I'm teaching or working with copywriters is you don't want to sound like a car salesman. And it's not a knock on car salesmen, but there is a trope. And, you know, like I said, in purchasing a car, I was basically getting like junior high sales psychology enacted on me by people. And this line just triggers that to me. Like, why settle for less? Like, well, because I have less money to spend would most likely be what it is. So I think taking some of those benefits from the landing page and creating intrigue in the ad is the missed opportunity there. Visually, I think they're okay because I'm going to see this, or I want the Escalade. I know what it looks like. I'm going to click through and look at the Escalade. So what else we got? We want to buy your vehicle. Yeah, I love callouts with the check marks. It makes it easier to process, discover my vehicle's worth. I'm curious, how much is my 2012 Ford Escape worth? $500 if you're wondering. Any make, any model. Step 1, step 2, okay. How do I actually start the form? Oh, wait. It's a button that's not a button. That can't be right. Okay, so I'm here. I want to get this offer. Let's go. Here I am. Maybe it's geo-locked. I'm in Quebec right now, so maybe that doesn't allow me this opportunity. I'm not going to switch my VPN right now. It'll mess up the stream, but either this is geo-locked and not explaining to me that it's because of where I am that I can't access that. Oh, here we go. Let's try location. That's not my actual postal code. Whatever. Let's say Vancouver postal code. All right, well, tough. We're just going to ignore that. Let's go back to the ads here. But if I was critiquing this page and this is what the actual button looks like, I would make the button significantly more obvious. Because if we were to look at it on a phone, this and this are the same. So, and this is over, like, yeah. And then further down, I'm down at the bottom of the page, there is not a second button. So same thing I was saying about some of those other pages. We want to make sure our button is obvious. We want to make sure when I'm down at the end of the page, I can get back into the action. I will assume that this is not a button because of my location, but if it isn't, hey, you guys should fix that. What else do we got? So collision repair. Let's see here. We got lots of variations, lots of text. No one is reading this. Need collision repair? We've got you covered. Perfect. You could probably just not put any of this in there and then just drop the URL at the bottom. I know it does make the URL harder to track, but we do see an increased click-through and conversion when people just see the URL and click it. It's worth it. There's ways to report on it where you can actually still get a sense of if your ads are working while upping your conversion. Certified collision repair, all makes, all models. Yeah, perfect. Let's see. So just like the text, the long text style, I feel it's a little dated looking. Trade up. That's back to the we want your vehicle thing. See this ads details. Yeah, that's like okay. I'd probably still add like a button in the image itself. This looks like it would probably crop okay, but I would check that if I was running this with a designer, because a lot of those meta placements, you can get the full 16:9, but then it also does the crop for the feed, and it almost looks like you would probably lose part of the headline or part of the car. And personal pet peeve, 1 exclamation point per ad. No one's that excited, especially about trading in a car. All right. What else do we got? TikTok, nothing. I feel like what was missing in the Meta and obviously no TikTok is, again, like, where are the people of the DeLowry group? You know, you see car people trying to find ways to jack attention, so doing things like transitional hooks, which if you're ever in the market for, there's like Transitional Hooks website. I think it's transitionalhooks.com. So you'll see them like attention hacking with, you take these known things when it hits the car, and then it's like, oh, I'm Steve at Steve's Toyota. Don't get hit by a Toyota or whatever. So like kind of attention hacking with this type of stuff. Or even just building the story of when you come to a DeLowry, I can't say it, and I apologize. DeLowry business, you're dealing with real people. And I feel like this is maybe missing a little in the strategy, is the showing me real people. You have 80 dealerships, but I didn't see a single person in any of those ads. So possibly they're running their own at the dealership level, but also why not roll them up to the family account? And then on LinkedIn, not running anything that I can find here. And again, that seems like a bit of a missed opportunity. People on LinkedIn are looking for a job, have a job, want to talk about how smart they are. Seems like a chance to show me the interior of the Land Rover, or let me know that if I come by, I get like a bottle of scotch when I buy the Ferrari, or whatever the promotion is. LinkedIn ads do cost a bit more, but given the scale of the Google account and the number of ads running on Meta, why not toss 10% of your budget to these other platforms and get full coverage? Plus, I'm assuming you have some sort of first-party data system, so you should be able to target these people specifically. I'd also be curious what the follow-up sales looks like once you have my data. Again, no shortage of opportunity. All right, what else do we got here? Let's take a look at this one. This one is called Everme for Active Health Explorers. It's a longevity platform, which is interesting. I think when you look at health spending, or you look at, what do they call it? Like experience spending versus things. People my generation and below are spending way more on experience and health and a lot less on stuff. So like if you look at the boomers, they have a lot of collections of things and didn't necessarily leave their hometown other than to go on a Carnival cruise. Whereas this is more positioned to those of us that want to live longer. And what is interesting is they also are targeting the physicians on the other side because they're selling health intelligence. So it breaks down the research and gives you actionable insights. And on the consumer side, they're pushing for an app download, which, similar to like we were talking about with some of the other ones, get the star rating up there, 150,000 users. That tells me I'm not the only one and I can trust it. That's great. Meant to be used daily without taking over your day. That also sounds great. I don't just want an app I download, use until I forget about it, or don't use and feel guilty. And then we got some nice replace my doom scrolling. That's great. This app is excellent. We saw, that makes me a little suspicious to see the same text twice, but I'm assuming most people aren't looking at it that closely. Why we built Everme. Longevity isn't linear, biology goals. Yeah, that's cool. It's going to grow with me. I like that. Modern healthcare is drowning in data and noise. From a consumer standpoint, I'm not sure that that's true in Canada anyway. We don't have a unified health record. Get a lot of information from social media and self-research, so I don't know that that is necessarily the case, but there is tons of conflicting information, I'll give you that, and gives a safety score, so that's cool. So what can we do? Get actionable intelligence. Turn science into... not exactly sure what that means. Daily directions. Good. Using my sleep data. It's tailored to me. So this is kind of for like the real life optimizer type that wears a smartwatch. I'm still in the analog world, but I get the appeal. People got a Whoop band. This is probably more for them. Proprietary longevity index helps you instantly understand any topic through 3 powerful filters: safety, impact, and expert consensus. See, this is like really interesting, but it doesn't feel like it's really getting explained to me. Most longevity podcasts are long, so then it's a podcast? Yeah, I feel like they're talking about a few too many things on this page for me to fully understand what it is. To their individual, oh, that's cool. How is Everme different from influencers and podcasters? Search and social platforms, research papers and journals. Okay, yeah. And then, oh look, these are all the smiling people that are helping you. Most of them look pretty healthy. So I would expect to see some of these people in the advertising. I'd also expect to see call outs on the difficulty of understanding a research paper and, you know, the noise of social media, why I shouldn't trust an influencer. Like there's a lot of good levers to push on being touched on in this landing page. So hopefully we see it in the ads. The longevity index. The longevity index. Helping me decide what's worth my time. Okay. Safety score. I don't really understand what this is. And that might just be my buying style, but kind of triggers my BS detector a little. Do you have questions about longevity? As a 40-year-old man, should I be taking peptides or testosterone to increase the longevity of my life? I don't want to enter my email. It just told me to ask away. Okay, well, we're not going to do that. HIPAA compliant, that's going to be super helpful. We can ask our favorite stuff about it. And what does it say? I want to know what makes Everme the best AI-powered fitness and health platform and why using Everme is much better than following generic advice. Yeah, so these are all preloaded. Oh, you can't see them, they're behind me. All these links are preloaded to give you a really nice sales pitch about the app, which that's a good idea. But for me, as a discerning customer, I would probably be like, you just told it to lie for you. But I'm pretty technically savvy, so maybe it works. And then physician access, it's more for the actual doctors, which is a whole other side of the business and also pretty interesting. So it can help them with off-label treatments and protocols. And okay, so basically just like additional support for physicians. I would love to know more about the longevity index and like, what is it? How do I interpret it? How do you derive it? But I guess that's for me to find out once I download the app. Physician trust as the baseline. I guess speaking to physicians, that's an angle. Speaking to an average person, I'm not sure they always trust physicians. And then we got some nice stories here, which oh yeah, great. And these are the guys that were in the consumer focus side. So again, we'll expect to see them in the advertising. So with that orientation out of the way, let's get to why we're here. And that is to look at the ads. So we got anxiety support in New York City. So I guess touching on specific things that they feel their app can help with. So therapy, naturopath, anxiety. A lot of longevity treatments fall outside of the traditional Western medical system. So for example, I take turmeric for inflation, or I take turmeric for inflammation, and that would be the type of thing this app might suggest to me. All right, and we got some kind of remarketing ads. Let's take a look at what they are saying.
Is not a gut specialist. Each goes really deep, but only in their own lane. And that's why Everme is the first place to start. It has the breadth to see across the whole health universe. And then it points you to the right expert at the right time for the right reason.
Okay, I missed the hook there. Can we watch that again? No, let's just reload the page. Give it a go. A nutrition coach isn't a cardiologist.
Expert is not a gut specialist. Each goes really deep, but only in their own lane. And that's why Everme is the first place to start. It has the breadth to see across the whole health universe. And then it points you to the right expert at the right time for the right reason.
Okay, so, and this is probably just a Canadian take, but this ad is positioned as if I have access to any of those people through the general system. If I was paying, I could go see a nutritionist, but I guess the app is free or cheaper, which might be more of a push, but I do feel like this is a more upscale product aimed at people that are taking their health in their own hands. And so there's probably money changing hands here. Or I have money to invest in this. It's not really aimed at a pleb eating McDonald's. So let's see. What else we got? Nutritionists say, doctors say avoid it. TikTok says it's a miracle. Longevity isn't a game. Stop guessing. That's okay. The motion kind of draws you in, similar to those Calm ads, where it's just water flowing or something. It kind of pulls you in. So visually interesting. Not sure that I would stop, but this would be following me around. Probably on like WebMD, I would see this in the corner. So let's imagine I'm on WebMD and this is playing. Yeah. Transform aging with precision science, expert vetted longevity insights in your pocket. I'm surprised they're not leaning into the doctor aspect of this. Like, we have this whole team of people backing this app, but we're not mentioning that we're putting it all on the brand, which I don't know that I trust if I've never seen it before, but I look at the numbers for this to see what is maybe happening. What's this one? So I'm on WebMD, or I'm trying to watch a YouTube video. Well, I wouldn't click it, but considering that people need 7 to 21 brand impressions, I guess that could be one of them. Though I did not get a strong Everme brand out of that. So I would put that a little more forward if I was really aiming for performance. A lot of these ads are striking me as a longer term play. So I don't know what the funding for this company is, but if they are trying to continue their 100,000 download growth, I feel like there might be an opportunity to push a bit harder. Real-time research meets personalization, science-backed health intelligence. A supplement cabinet isn't a strategy. It's a little preachy for me personally, a little accusatory, definitely bro-coded. I think there's a way to have someone self-identify as a supplement taker that isn't kind of punching down isn't the right word, but it's just like, I take multiple supplements to improve my health. I'm cruising around. Should I take supplement X? And then this ad is in the corner saying your supplement cabinet isn't a strategy. Maybe it's just me, but it triggers a little bit of like, I'm not going to swear on stream. But I like the angle. I like the idea. I generally think the tone is maybe a little bit off. But if we're going for we're exclusive and you can be better than other people by having this app, then that might be the play. While everyone's talking, we are delivering. Again, like it just it reads as startup bro coded to me. And if we're targeting startup longevity bros, maybe that'll work. But it's not really selling me the value. It's like, what are you delivering? And like, what's in it for me? Like, while you're at work, I'm delivering. So, okay, well, good for you, buddy. So I don't know. Visually, I think it looks great, and it's staying tight to everything that we've seen over here. So that's positive, but I am picking up a little more ego than I personally would accept from an app that's trying to help me. Anything else here? I think that kind of covers all of them. So in terms of cohesion, I would say very cohesive. I like the angle of calling out specific ailments that they can help with. I think the wording is not particularly inclusive and speaking maybe a little narrow to the potential of who this app could help. But again, they have the data to look at and make their own decisions there. Let's see what they're doing on Meta. All right, and let's zoom into the proper one here. It's this guy. How come I'm not getting... There we go. So there it is. And let's take a look at the ads, see the summary. So Everme's personalization engine delivers tailored insights tailored to your biology. All right, so let's see, what does that look like? Oh, I lost it. The health app that doesn't guess. I like bias free, and that's something that we haven't really seen across the other creatives or in the website that actually could really resonate with people. And I know when I see a doctor, I often wonder what cruises has he been on to get free things to prescribe specific drugs or whatever. So to say it's a bias-free source of information is really interesting, and presenting that science first angle is also interesting. So that's pretty cool. The heat map blur kind of thermo look is futury, maybe a little dehumanizing, but it would probably catch me in the feed. At least to stop and be like, what is that? But I think calling it a personalization engine basically says tech bros only, which that might be a great wedge in the market and who they're actually targeting. So if the point of that is to segment out tech bros, great work. If you're going more broad, I would find a little softer way to say it. Struggling to fall asleep, Everme delivers simple science-backed fixes. Okay, cool. Yes. So I like the intro of this. I'm not sure I would put these tips front and center, because odds are if you've been struggling with sleep it's already occurred to you to not look at your phone before bed. And it might actually be hurting some of the credibility you're trying to build up across, like, oh, we have all this intelligence score, it's personalized, that's great. And then you're like, oh, just don't look at your phone before bed. Well, what's personalized? What's intelligent about that? It almost goes against the value props you've already built up. I do like the intro in terms of like, yeah, I can't fall asleep. So what can we do about it? And simple science-backed fixes you can actually use. I love that. Again, I'd want to see the numbers as to how it's actually converting. It's a little bit soft visually. The polish almost works against it, I think, in an Instagram feed where I'm looking at all of the things that are coming with a lot more authenticity, and that is obviously a very stock photo vibe. And I almost wonder if their anti-UGC podcaster stance could work against them in that particular instance, because that is such a big part about how people consume media these days, that they almost would need to be careful about not cutting off a big channel for actually growing their platform by talking smack about the people who could help them the most. Let's see here. Health tips everywhere. Everme transforms cutting edge longevity research into clear, actionable insights. Simple tips like, I'm not sure if this is how it's actually formatted when I'm going to see this ad. Yeah, this text block would need to go. Like, this is a great example of how you could use formatting to make this a lot more digestible in the feed. And then, okay. Kind of reminds me of, I think it's called Open. There's like a breath work and health. Calm is another one that it kind of gives me vibes of, which is good. That's speaking to the voice of the people looking for help with these types of things. But in terms of differentiation, I'm not sure that it's fully there. What's real in a world of red lights? So I'm assuming that's probably talking about red light therapy, which scientifically does have some real stuff behind it. What do we got? Everme helps you separate evidence from algorithm. I feel like this is a little too abstract. Red light therapy I've been aware of for 4 or 5 years now. It's gotten really popular. You do see in the zone in the back there the LED infrared look that those masks and panels do have, but that's asking a lot. And the double entendre of red lights and like sex work might not necessarily work for you there. But I'd love to see the comments on that one and to get a sense of if it's working. Let's see here. Even 1 minute can change your physiology. That's a great lead, because who doesn't have 1 minute? Let's see what the video is actually saying.
So Martin, what's an exercise snack and why is it important?
An exercise snack is a less than 60-second bout of vigorous physical activity. So that's a 7 or an 8 on a 10-point scale. At the end of the minute, you're huffing and puffing a little bit. Think of climbing a few flights of stairs with a heavy backpack. If you do 3 or 4 of those daily, you're likely to really reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, likely to extend or at least improve your chance of living a longer, healthy life. And it doesn't have to be structured.
All right. Well, I love the podcast format. As I said, it's working real great. I think it's a little slow getting to the point. I would have scrolled away by the time we got to what an exercise snack actually is. So you could have almost cut that to walking up the stairs with a backpack, whatever. Like, give me the actionable, then get into it. It's cut a bit slow for where it's probably getting delivered, but visually it's great. I like the format choice, and it's definitely a nice one to have in the rotation. I think looking at the mix here, the main thing I'm surprised by is how there is not more of that. But as I said, when you're saying don't trust UGC, you are kind of pegging yourself to this higher production quality.
All of these things about health become extremely
Let's go
overwhelming.
back here.
So many of these times, all of these things about health become extremely overwhelming. And you want to get into one thing, and then you get to the other thing, and then you're rabbit holing in all the wrong ways.
At some point, we were thinking like, what will make us different, and how can we expose that like knowledge layer in a very cool way that where people can get engaged with us, like how you interact daily. Would it be cool like to have this agent that will drive behavioral change?
You have all the data. So with that data, sometimes we don't know.
Whoa, that might be the actual hook there. So I would assume this ad will underperform just based on the way it starts. Doesn't really give me anything to latch onto, which is a challenge with this type of content when you just have a conversation. Obviously, these two people aren't marketers. Without super clear guidance or obvious setup questions, you're going to have a hard time getting the hook that'll actually sit right in the feed. But here, we'll watch it again.
So many of these times, all of these things about health become extremely overwhelming. And you want to get into one thing, and then you get to the other thing, and then you're rabbit holing in all the wrong ways.
You know what? I take that back. I think what could improve this is a title card setting up the conversation for me. So, like, what she's saying isn't actually that bad. The audio is a bit low, and it could definitely use like a cleanup and raise the levels so that it's going to blare if I got my sound on. But then secondary, the title card to contextualize the situation would make a huge difference here. So, like, let's just watch it again.
So many of these times, all of these things about health become extremely overwhelming.
So then it's just like, if it at the front it said struggling with your weight or struggling with your sleep or one of those use cases that they really speak to, that would be helpful.
People can get engaged with us, like how you interact daily. Would it be cool like to have this agent that will drive behavioral change?
You have all the data.
I've worked in startup for a long time. And when I hear someone say, wouldn't it be cool if, my initial thought is, this is a terrible idea. But that's just me. Again, good format. I think even that clip with a little polish has a lot of opportunity to perform better. Let's see what we got. From insights to action, that's definitely written by AI, which is fine, but the from to gutless line doesn't really resonate. Discover, understand, action. Your health journey made clear. Kind of like a corporate lingo, but like I said, you're aiming for a higher end client, so that's how they talk. Not bad. Kind of reminds me of like Hims, like a Cialis ad or something, the way she's holding the pillow. So that might just be my experience in the feed coming through. Let's see, we got this guy. What's he saying? Looks like a doctor.
Here's the truth. EverMe isn't some faceless algorithm.
It's built by real-life humans,
Whoa,
engineers,
it's a different guy.
scientists, entrepreneurs, and guided by a real-life steering committee.
Here's the truth. EverMe isn't some faceless algorithm.
Okay.
It's built by real-life humans, engineers, scientists, entrepreneurs, and guided by a real-life steering committee that calls out our blind spots.
We're not guru-led, we're engineer-led. And that's what makes all the difference. Here's the truth. EverMe isn't some faceless algorithm.
It's built by...
I find the edit of that one a little weird. I like the original, like it would grab my attention. I feel the side angle of this guy's a little weird. And they might be putting a little too much faith in like our trust of engineers with our health, but I'd be curious to see if people are reacting to that. We got a few more sleep ones here. I feel like there's a lot more ads than when I last looked at this. So they're actively trying to improve, and that's the name of the game these days. Just lots of variations, trying to improve. Let's say one of these trust ones. Low impression count, brand new, just came out. Let's see. What does make a study trustworthy? Okay, so it's just like a slight background motion. With these, if people have the sound on, Meta's going to add sound, but if you wanted to put like a bell ring or something in there to really grab people's attention, that can sometimes help the performance of those ones. What do we got here? Supplements aren't scams, but do you know which ones actually work? I kind of put this in the trust me category, where like when someone says something like that, it actually triggers more distrust. So like, trust me, the internet is drowning in data. It's like, supplements aren't scams. It's like, well, I didn't think they were until you said that. What do we got? More health advice does not equal better health decisions. Oh, and it's just a loop. I like this message, but supplements aren't scams is probably the hook, and you could probably just pose it as a question to try and push people into a reaction. So when you're thinking of snapping someone out of their thoughts in the feed, you're looking to confirm or deny their bias or elicit an emotional response. So are supplements a scam? I'm like, no. And, it gives you that little like, oh, I'm going to say something about it. And so I think this is just a little soft from a copy perspective. And then you could probably front load that onto the actual creative so it's bigger and more in your face, because this text is not getting seen in so many of the meta ad placements. But still, the variation, when we first vetted these to see if we should talk about them, half these ads weren't live, and today is the 19th, so a lot of these are live today. I'll be curious to see if they have a high impression count if we were to come back to them. But generally, that's what's going on Meta. Let's see what else we got. Nothing on TikTok, LinkedIn, which I think makes a ton of sense here. Like I said, you're going more upscale. You're talking to the tech health enhancement types. It only makes sense that you're on LinkedIn helping optimize their life. So what happens if we click view details? Detox plans, miracle cures, influencer protocols. Really a lot of hate for the influencers, eh? Which codes this to me as like a 40 plus app, which I guess they're talking to 75-year-olds in the marketing. Hey, what's up, Mike? Got any questions about the EverMe marketing? Yeah, the hate for the influencer stuff that's coming across their different pieces kind of suggests that it's for an older audience, which makes sense. I just wonder if the passive approach is not going to really get the performance that they want. I understand the distaste for influencers, but at the same time, I solved most of my carpal tunnel with a case study off of a guy on how he lifted weights to solve his carpal tunnel. So, maybe I'm a little biased in how I believe these things can work, but, it's not bad for a LinkedIn post. Given the cost of clicks on LinkedIn, you're probably paying like $3 to $5 for someone to click this. And then we're going to go to, okay, it's to a quiz, which is nice. I like the quiz flow. We are using a full size. Let's see what it looks like on a phone. So yeah, this is a phone optimized landing page. And let's say I'm gonna do some anti-aging, how I'm researching on my own because I haven't had a family doctor for 12 years. What kind of support are you looking for? Ongoing, a focused, yeah, like I'm not really sure. I do like the little call out, works with specialized clinics. Again, like it's assuming I care a lot about peer-reviewed studies, and it shouldn't be on every single page. Like that data point is helpful and does build the concept of what it could be, but to reiterate it on every page actually takes away from the primary content, which is the question. And as I was saying about the previous ones, coming from LinkedIn, you should be running a first-party data system to gather everything about me. So we are augmenting my profile by having me answer this survey. I don't really care if I speak with a provider. So the way that this was pitched here is that it's, okay, it is find a provider. So I missed that. And it's probably because I'm all the way in the weeds watching what they're doing here. So let's see, we'll go next. I'm assuming they want my information. All of this information could have been passed forward by LinkedIn. Or like I said, they could be grabbing it with a first party system in the back. So this is kind of a heavy ask to need, but I guess the postal code gives me phone numbers not required. So if you don't need it, don't ask for it in this particular case, especially coming from a paid ad. What else do we got? But I like the quiz flow to finish what I like about this. I like the quiz flow. They're obviously targeting older people, so LinkedIn makes a ton of sense. And I'm not sure that provider is something I would link with people, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of rules around saying find a doctor, find help. So I'm assuming there's a legal reason they're saying find a provider. But I would want to know more about like what does provider mean, and I'm not really getting that. It's kind of just launching me into this thing. So room to improve the clarity. These are expensive clicks coming from LinkedIn. I love the quiz flow. I would probably drop the phone number and try and get this information first, and then be like, oh, subsequently, what's this? Like, you want to give us your phone number? Like post submit. Run them through as many questions as you can, because once you get people into a quiz flow, they're going to just keep going. So the ad identifies, we augment the profile, we get some follow-up information, and then we're like, okay, what's your phone number? Where'd you go to school? And just keep asking the questions, let them build out as much of their profile as they're comfortable with. But generally, it makes sense. I think this is a great application. It makes a lot more sense than some of the stuff that I was seeing on the Meta platform. 3 a.m. health spirals are not a plan. Yeah, this is good. Why aren't they running these ads on the other platforms? They're speaking a lot more to actual pain points. You know, I know some high-powered executive types, and they wake up at 3 a.m. and they shop for dopamine, or they spiral about, you know, conflicts in other countries. And so this is a very real position that their target customer is in. I love this from a perspective. I'm assuming find a provider drops me into the same flow. And so I really think there's an opportunity to take this angle and apply it back across the other platforms that actually speaks to their customer. And also, you know, showing like not a tech bro is always nice. How to find a good doctor, best longevity clinic. Yeah, man, their LinkedIn content is where the actual angles are coming. I feel like they were trying a little too hard on the Meta platform to be folksy and thoughtful. All of these ones sending you to a provider could easily be pushed over to the app. Like if we look at the app page here, you know, I'm a health explorer. I still have these questions and want answers. I'm doing this spiraling at 3 a.m. Why not try and get the app download and then have the app push me to a provider, which I believe it does. So there could be like a good secondary flow, or even, you know, I didn't complete this survey, but I would hope that the next step would be install the app. So I've then got a lead and the app install from my expensive LinkedIn click. But yeah, this is the first one where I would say LinkedIn is quite possibly the strongest platform. And that's cool. And then EverMed is not them. Yeah, another, look, man, they should just use these on Meta. Look at this, it looks like a phone. So this style is super helpful. You're using visual cues that people are comfortable with and have seen before. This looks like my lock screen. I can imagine seeing this coming up. I don't know that the messaging necessarily speaks, but from a visual standpoint, when we look at that versus what was on the Meta, which was like the heat, infrared kind of body and weird shapes and stuff, this to me is much stronger. I would love to see the questions. These angles speak a lot more clearly to what they're promising on the website. And I would really look at, if they're using two different agencies, taking what's being run here and testing it across the other side with very similar visuals. But anyway, that's full rundown of EverMe. We got one more on the list here. Let's see who it is. Let's see here. Ah, yes. Why is it not showing? Oh, yeah, here we go. All right, so last one. And then we'll call it a weekend. This one is Knack. They are an Ottawa-based email and landing page platform. And as it says here, no code email and landing page creation. So if you're unfamiliar with no code, it's basically the idea that you can just drag things in WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Editors that allow you to just pull things in and create beautiful emails like they're showing in the background. Meet the next era of AI campaign creation. I think 2026 is going to be the year where you just quit mentioning that it's AI. Like, it's been 3 years now. If it does things smart and quick, we just kind of assume that. And calling it out with an extra hello bar at the top is actually pushing my action button off the main. Let's take a quick look at it. By needing to call out that they have AI, they're now missing their CTA in that first scroll on this particular size of device, which is an iPhone. We could look at an XR. Yeah, it's just wasted space. Okay, if I click it, it does take me somewhere, but it also doesn't disappear. So if I click it, I'm in an infinite loop on the AI page. So that is a bit of an oversight from the dev team. Totally happens, not a big deal. Let's go back to the homepage and just finish looking at what this company is, though. Got a little sidebar complaining about everyone saying AI is the main differentiator. So, no code email and landing page creation. That's great. Make campaign creation fast and easy with Knack. That's kind of not necessary unless I forgot the ad that I clicked or the domain name. The company name is a little infuriating. And it's also, when we were looking at it to find them, pretty much the same as this one. And so when we were first looking, I came to this site and thought that they had completely changed their business to be a database builder, because it is very similar in terms of, like no code to do this complex thing. But it's Knack with just a K, not Knack with a CK. So, we're not talking about branding, but I feel like that is maybe an older name. Misspellings is not as in style as it once was. But in terms of what this company does, we got emails and landing pages. So you can see you got the builder and you can just drag stuff in. And if you've ever tried to code an HTML email, it is an absolute pain in the ass. So there is a reason for companies like this to exist. I imagine one question that they get that they have to contend with is, you mean like MailChimp? And I think that's probably a differentiation that they need to make. Improves your current stack. Transform your existing tech stack to give you... Okay, so we're targeting more mid-up-market companies. Marketo and these Adobe products are expensive. Salesforce is expensive. I don't think I've ever worked with a company that pays Oracle, so that's like Fortune 500. So the difference between this and MailChimp is they're targeting people with significantly higher capital flow and money to spend on these types of tools. And integrating with things like Salesforce and Marketo are beneficial, as those companies already have those tools. So then to be like, oh, we're connected to them, makes it a little easier to sell in some regards. However, it does probably put it at a higher price point. And then it's always on brand. I guess that's a sales pitch. We won't watch the demo. We're just trying to get a sense of what they do. One platform for the entire creation journey. So they have a library that we can reference. That's very nice. The creation and the personalization, lots of platforms offer that. I wouldn't say that's really a differentiator. That's more of it's just expected to have. I'm a little annoyed. Can I just grab this? No. I would expect there to be some sort of arrow to navigate these. Oh, you just scroll down. Okay. That. Personalize, that's normal. Translate, that is actually a nice feature. Translation is a huge pain. I think in larger organizations, you have territory managers, so I'd be curious how the approval process works with translations, but that is a nice to have that a lot of other platforms don't do. Optimization. Yeah, flawless emails, test and build. Lots of platforms do that, but if you're doing it, that's great. Giving a score, what are your inbox probabilities, these types of things. Collaborate, so some of the collaboration features. If you're targeting a company using Salesforce, there's going to be 6 to 10 people that need to review everything, so a collaboration flow makes sense. And then we got some stats, which I would expect to see reflected in the advertising. So 1 million plus assets created, 22 minutes to launch an email. That's not bad. Usually takes about an hour for me personally, just powering through it. So that's pretty good. Plus Palo Alto Networks, huge company. These are all big companies. So that tells you a lot about who they're going after. And I also makes me kind of wonder what we'll see on these other platforms. Is there even a pricing page? Let's just take a quick look. How much are we talking? Send me pricing. That usually means a lot. But maybe not. Yeah, SOC2 compliant. That's expensive. It costs like 50 grand to get that done. So yeah, the bottom line is we've got money to spend on advertising because the monthly costs and most likely the lifetime value, once you land one of these customers, is going to be pretty solid. So let's take a look at the ads. All right, so on Google search, we'll just look at all of them here. So AI powered email builder, drag and drop emails. Differentiation level, not really true. Yeah, don't go to restaurants that don't have the prices on the website, or don't go to restaurants where it's just like a round number. And when you see stuff like send me the pricing, you can assume it's that type of restaurant. So in terms of the search ads, we got Pardot email templates. Okay. Pardot is another tool, and I think it's rather difficult to work with, so it makes sense that they would call that out in the ads. Like I was saying with some of the other ones, so they're running competitor ads here, so I'm assuming Stensul is a competitor. Let's just take a look. Stensul, yeah, no code email builder. So yeah, there it is. And then they have a landing page that's an in-depth comparison versus Stensul, and this is very us versus them coded, which is nice. It's kind of ugly, which usually converts better. So that makes tons of sense that they'd be running that. Downside of these types of ads is they do get kind of expensive sometimes, because you're basically bidding up to be on theirs. So now if I'm working at Stensul, I got to run money to shove Knack back down. Obviously they are not paying. Oh yeah, they are. They're just not paying top price. So they got to bid on their own keyword. And that is an unfortunate cost of doing business on Google these days. So that is, yeah, demos only. Which I feel like that's another thing I'd love to see change in enterprise tooling, is like, just let me try it. And then I'll go to my boss and I'll convince him that we should spend $8,000 a month or whatever this thing costs. But like, it's just an email platform. You told me all kinds of things about it. Do I really need your demo guy to go through it with me? But again, that's just like an old tech dude gripe. So they're running competitor ads. Stensul, Marketo is one of their integrations, so that makes sense. No code emails, fully responsive. Yeah, those are all the things I would want. They have some of the call outs here. Meet our customers is a good one. I'd be curious to see if we can see where that goes. We cannot. But yeah, these additional callouts are nice. Benchmark report could probably be named better. Knack Enterprise, I'd be curious what the difference is between just Knack and Knack Enterprise. So that might be some wasted space in the ad, but it makes sense to at least drill them into the site a little bit more specifically. What else do we got? S7, I'm going to assume that is also a competitor. Litmus, that's a competitor. So the search is primarily around integrations and competition from what I can see here. And then we have this, display ad, like we can take a quick look at and just see what they're running. I'm assuming this is pre-YouTube or a YouTube pre-roll / remarketing. Okay, so I would say pretty weak from a hook standpoint. This comes up on my YouTube. I need help for my product launch. All details are attached. Brief, you know what to do. Okay, so they're really pushing the AI here. I, as an art director, would want that zoomed in way closer so it's more obvious, and I'd be running something more clearly. Like the brand logo will be in the corner here, but you're asking a lot of me as someone who just wants to watch a guitar tutorial on YouTube. And then this is obviously very edited to the music, which is, at least it cuts on the music, but yeah, from brief 2 ready and ship in minutes, that strikes me as large language model output, not particularly enticing. On the plus side, YouTube ads are pretty cheap to run. But the value being communicated here is pretty weak. Even if you took that and ran it really closely targeted on the things that we're seeing in the other part of the strategy, I would be shocked that that was doing much positive work for you. You'd be better off to lean into, like, start with this, so that at the very least, that first, like, bloop, and then I see your logo, and then eventually I'm sick of seeing your little sound and hearing your little sound and seeing your little logo, but you at least got the brand impression for that money. So even if this is a non-skippable ad, I muted it and looked away, most likely. So if you front load your logo, at least you get that brand impression to be like, oh yeah, I looked at those guys and I meant to talk to Bill in accounting about paying them or whatever. Saving this to the end is letting your ego get in the way of your messaging, in my opinion. But that's okay. Lots of room to improve here. It was last shown today, most likely to me. But looking at the mix across this account, there's definitely room to expand the visual stuff, and I wouldn't be surprised that there is also room to expand the search-based things. The challenge I assume they have is they are playing in a space where they are in send me for pricing territory, and there's many competitors that are like $20 a month, and the biggest challenge is getting across why use them as opposed to the $20 a month type competitor, 50, 80, whatever dollar a month competitors. There's a lot of them. All right, so let's take a look over on Meta here. Zoom into them specifically. They don't have any active ads, which is somewhat surprising. It's the right company, yeah? So even though they're running this, I am surprised to not at least see some basic remarketing being done, because I'm on this site, I'm going to go sit down and have my coffee break, and there's an opportunity to start telling me about some of these things that I may not have got while I was going through this. Like, okay, why not talk about, show me the email builder, show me the landing page builder, list off all the integrations. Like, you have all of this stuff. G2 Crowd gives us 5 out of 5. Capterra gives us 5 out of 5. You've got these great quotes that you could be using. You've got all of this quantifiable stuff that you just slap them into some statics, put, $50, $200 a day, whatever your budget is, keep it relatively low as part of your overall spend, but at least you get coverage there. And to see zero coverage, unless I'm not sorting this correctly, is a bit strange. Because as I said about some of these other brands, we're talking 7 to 21 brand impressions as a general consideration on a low value product. So to not see any opportunities being taken to get those impressions in and have me considering across all platforms, specifically with the reach and time people are spending on Meta and Instagram, kind of strange. Maybe they're in a transitional time. I know they are hiring some marketing people. That was how they ended up in our list of potential targets to look at. And so maybe they're going to relaunch something. But this huge missed opportunity, even with a small budget, I feel there is value in having it as part of the consideration process. So no shock, nothing on TikTok. I'm not sure TikTok would be the place for this particular product. TikTok does best with like $100 and below impulse items, or again, as a support channel. So if you're not running Meta Instagram, you're definitely not on TikTok. I would have been shocked to see TikTok ads running here. And then the last one, LinkedIn, which makes a ton of sense given who we're targeting. The enterprise professional, let's give them some enterprise talk. And that's what we are seeing here. Let's just take a look at how it lines up with what is in the home page, or maybe just look at where these ads go. So easily create beautiful emails in minutes in-house using our drag and drop editor. So that would be touching on, I'm currently paying an email marketing agency and maybe I don't want to pay them anymore. So a decent email agency, cheapest, lowest price I can imagine would be like $3,500 to $5,000. So as long as NAC is coming in cheaper and I already have people on the team, that's not a bad angle to be playing. It could take anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks to create an email. Now I can do it in under 10 minutes. That's a bit of a bend considering that it says 20 on this page. So it says 22 here. She says 10. The point is you get to do it fast, but those types of inconsistencies can cause a little bit of distrust throughout the sales cycle. So if you're going to say 10 here, like make it say 10 over there. Why not? And in terms of the visuals, very corporate coded, maybe a little bit dated. The way that the gradient rolls in the background, it is a bit of a strange color mix, which I kind of think it hurts. It makes the complexion look a little green since she's black and white. And the black and white does put the focus back on the message. But I also wonder, is Foursquare still a company? Like, we should check that. Okay, not bad. Where does this ad go when I click it? Okay, so we're running specific landing pages. They're not just going to the home page. So the era of email and landing page creation is over. Frustrating. Okay.
Every company sends emails as part of their marketing campaigns. Lots of emails. This usually means one of 3 things.
Okay. It's not a good video. It's kind of boring. We're at hour 2:30 here, so you can start to get the unfiltered take of how I actually feel. But all this to say, the one thing I find a little bit, I like that they call it a no pressure demo. The one thing that I find a little bit lacking here is where's she? You know, do we have any tie between that ad and where I've ended up? Not really. This landing page looks okay. Looks like I wonder if they're using their own tool because it's sitting on a subdomain. Let me just take a quick look here. Because it looks like another platform. Chili Piper, so they're taking my data and feeding it into their CRM, so that's good. They got that sorted out. Anyway, back to the ads. Let's finish this up here. So that one, I would say if that was like the 8th to 15th touch, it might be helpful. It kind of reminds you that it's there. It's not a convincing. Martech has a creation problem, not a sending activation problem. Your ESP is fine. Your map is fine. The bottleneck is... Okay, so they're doing kind of... Is Daryl Alfonso work at NAC, or is he a marketing partner? Marketing at Impelium Group. Okay, so kind of like a LinkedIn thought influencer tie-in. I like that. That makes sense. It would be nice to see more of those, honestly. Because what's kind of missing, which I like bringing this guy in, I like he's showing the technical stuff, this type of infographic does play pretty well on LinkedIn. He's using the very in-market acronyms. So me as a fellow marketing nerd, I'm like, oh, okay, this guy knows his stuff. And given the price point and the level they're targeting, I would want to see like 10 Daryl Alfonsos out there. Different backgrounds, different industries, you know, in the the company list maybe. There's maybe some examples of who we could pull. So they have like, okay, so we got Gina, got guys at Google, Uber. So you have, how come I'm not seeing any of these across any of these ads? Were they not given permission maybe? So I would say underutilized opportunity on LinkedIn is this thought influencer stuff. Get me 6 more of these guys or girls or they, thems, and similar varying degrees of technical, maybe an example of a campaign they ran with it, show me some stats, talk about the optimization your team has done since switching, just really humanize the value of this platform inside of these larger enterprise organizations. And that could be a very powerful move. So Jeff Canada, is that his real name? That sounds fake. Just call him Jeff C, and I'm gonna believe you more. Before now, creating an email used to be a messy workflow of Slack, and HTML changes. That's not a great quote, honestly, because it leaves me thinking about the messy workflow instead of Knack. But okay, you get the OpenAI logo in there, which is nice. And I don't know, do you really need the Knack logo a second time when it's up here attached to the post? Usually your boss will say yes. Usually me as a marketer will say not necessarily. Fewer approval bottlenecks, faster launches, faster campaign execution. So they're really leaning into the speed of execution inside of large organizations. That's great. That sounds like a good wedge that they've obviously used to grow this company. But the design is not as premium as the price point, I don't think. Email templates are so last decade. Okay, that's good. It's just, you know, my visual design brain thinks it's a little messy in terms of the hierarchy of assets. Like my eyes drawn to this stuff in the corner, which I cannot decipher. Then it's got kind of like the millennial coded headline, which honestly is a little played. All it needs to say is like do better adulting to really round out the millennial coding of that. So not great. Why mops love Knack? You're really leaning into like marketing ops. You're really leaning into the brand knowledge or the brand acronyms or the marketing acronyms. So you're speaking enterprise to enterprise people, and that makes sense. We got another guy here, Harry Knack. Are you kidding me? Why do these people have names that don't sound real? A single message comes through supply chain trends. Is this for the right company? Promoted. I don't know that that should be visible in this list. I thought they had a second thought leadership guy going, but not really. I would say overall, just scanning through these, they're leaning into LinkedIn, which makes tons of sense given the price point and who they're talking to. But what I'm not seeing is the product. Like there's these little things, but it's not really being like, wow, this is how easy it can be. And then we got this one here. I would not personally promote that due to the potential copyright implications unless Bugs Bunny is living outside of copyright protection. You're actually opening yourself up to legal liability by putting money behind promoting that message, especially since you've taken it and made it about your line of product. I am surprised that they are willing to run that, and it does seem maybe like a lapse in judgment. Let's watch this video and then I'm gonna call it done. So we've got this guy, senior marketing
Before the
operations.
hack, email marketing was a slog.
1 campaign, 4 tools, 17 rounds of minor tweaks.
I spent all my time trying to fix things.
Then we got Knack, a no-code email creation platform built for marketers and integrated into the tools we already use.
Now,
Okay, so this is using, I would say, a dated kind of narrative format. It's definitely targeted to the employee to bring it to their boss and not necessarily the enterprise decision maker would be my read on this. And then again, just the
4 tools, 17 rounds
the
of
look
minor tweaks.
and
I spent
the
all my
scripting is very not 2025. I don't know if this is still active. We can check and see if there's an active flow still happening here. No, newest to oldest. All right. So I would say lots of opportunities to highlight the actual product. It does lean into the enterprise stuff of like, this type of graphic. What's missing for me, if I was a decision maker, is the financial impact. So yeah, you're doing it faster, but then what? Like, you're very focused on faster. Okay, so they got more. Are these real people though? GTM at Vector. Okay, so it's like a guide that they're promoting. But what I'm not really like, the people they're using don't look like real people to me. And I'm sure they are real people and I just have a limited circle or something. I think this type of stuff, oh yeah, Daryl Alfonso again with the technical drawings, that speaks more to the leader. So we have kind of like more of a leadership. We have kind of the, oh, we're in it together. It's so last decade. But yeah, I'm not really seeing the financial implications. So you're doing more in 10 minutes. You sent out an email. Great. Did that email get as good or better results as the old way you were doing it? And I think there's really an opportunity to tell that story more. And then they have some of these personalized ads, which I personally find crazy, on LinkedIn. So it'd say, hey, Rock, 30 minutes, $100 Amazon gift card, and we'll show you how it works. When I get LinkedIn ads using my name in them, it usually gives me the ick. But if it's performing, that's amazing. Good for you. Let's take a look at this one. I know I said one more, but now I'm kind of intrigued. I didn't realize that their LinkedIn was this in depth. So 3+ hours per email down to 10 minutes. So again, we're into speed. We're into not wasting dev time, which again, putting a number value on the amount of dev time saved could be huge. So if you were hand coding these emails and a dev is making $150 an hour, you just save $600 an email or something to that effect. Could be a very powerful motivator in making the decision or justifying the cost of this platform.
Here's how Amazon's marketing operations team reduced email creation time by 95%, with emails now taking just 10 minutes or less. The biggest issue wasn't effort, it was their workflow. They were dealing with slow builds, too many handoffs, and constant agency and developer dependencies. So they turned to Knack, and built a massive library of on-brand, reusable modules so marketers could create production-ready emails without ever touching code. They also centralized creation, approvals, and QA in one place, which cut
Okay.
back and forth dramatically.
So this is like touching on some good points.
Amazon went from hours of email production to under 10 minutes. If you're still building emails the hard way, you don't need more templates. You need a better system. Check out Knack.
Yeah, I think they have like some really interesting value propositions in there that they're just not telling that story in a way that communicates it as like, I need that. Unless I'm the type of person that has Jeff Bezos up on a pedestal and is like, I want what Amazon has. That is kind of underselling the upside of the platform. So cost of developers is interesting. Centralization of assets. Sending out an email and realizing that it didn't meet the brand manager's guidelines. Those are all real pains that you're going to encounter working in a big enterprise. Or we switched agencies and lost something. It's missing the story of actually operationally being on the ground, putting out these types of content and making campaigns. So I think that's about all we're going to say about Knack. That is the digital ad review for today. For those of you who were with me, I hope you got a few things out of it here and there. We'll be clipping some of those tips and sharing them online. Thank you for your attention, and otherwise, stay creative and have a great day.